Hello, and welcome to the Rojan Kim cast. It's me, Rojan Kim. Thank you for joining me on this lovely Wednesday afternoon. The rain has stopped. Sun is coming out. Still a little cloudy here in LA. Of course, rain and quarantine are essentially identical in Los Angeles. People in LA treat rain as if it's um, viruses raining from the sky, so they avoid the outdoors as much as possible. And I guess in some ways that's a good thing for the quarantine measures we're trying to take. In other ways, it actually spreads the disease more inside of the isolation clusters. So whatever, either way, can't win, right? Shit's coming. Nothing you can do about it except try to slow it down. We don't have anything to actually fight it. We can't get into tiny little jets. That would be awesome. Wouldn't it be awesome if our plan as a country was to shrink the entire military and take the fight to the viruses personally? Like that we could get behind, like an Independence Day kind of. It's like fucking let's all get together, like get all the pilots in the country, like anybody who could operate a fucking get a fucking. Why even have pilots? Why would we shrink them? Why not have drone war? Why not have a drone war against the viruses where every single citizen, everybody who has a phone, can be hooked up to a tiny nano machine, and we're gonna go and we're gonna fight these fucking viruses. We're gonna take the fight to the fucking viruses and we're gonna fucking take them down. Now, the only issue with this is that there are way more viruses than there are people. So each person would probably have to operate about 1 million nanobots. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of problems that we could run into. I mean, we can barely. If anything, the government's supposed to be good at is just printing checks and sending them to people. I mean, that's the one. That's the thing Andrew Yang said, right? He's like, that's the thing he ran on. He's like, that's the one thing the government can do somewhat competently is print a fucking check and mail it to people. Why don't we just do that, right? And here we are. Here we are, guys. It's the year of our Lord 2020, March 25th, Wednesday, 10 days after the Ides of March. I don't know. Nothing in March matters anymore. Pandemic has taken over everything. Can you imagine? Man, all the people who are narcissistic and with huge egos, like how shitty they must feel about it's like, shut up about all you guys do is talk about the coronavirus. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it all. Blah blah blah. Like Trump too. Just like, what about the economy? Everything is just overshadowed. Talk about great branding. You know what I'm saying? This is a marketer's dream. Branding, a brander would fucking branders are going out there just trying to get infected with COVID-19 on purpose, just so that they have the fucking branding opportunities that are given to them by coronavirus. You know what I mean? Like Trump, even Trump has to like take a step back and be like, Jesus Christ, this fucking virus. Everybody's talking about this virus. Used to be, but thankfully we live in a society which is utterly retarded. And that brings me to the subject of our podcast today. Am I doing this thing where I have subjects? I don't know. I'm just doing it today, in the past couple days, just to try to keep myself focused. Also, trying to keep my. I don't want to ramble too much, and I only have so much data per month, guys. I've realized I'm hitting a wall by updating this podcast so frequently, but whatever. I'm getting a sweet check from the government, so I'll just throw that into the podcast and just get unlimited data for all. I'm gonna just do 10-hour streams, 10 hours. I'm gonna just start reading books. I'm reading Great Expectations. I will tell you the tales of Pip and Mrs. Haversham, and Mrs. Pumblechook. Jesus Christ, it's the most English thing I've ever read, but I guess that makes sense. Anyway, see, that's what I'm talking about. These are the kind of distractions and diversions that I'm trying to avoid by keeping it tight, right? Keep it down to the C word, conflict. Last time it was conspiracy. This time, conflict. Conflict. What is conflict? I suppose conflict is, two oppositional forces at the most generic way, right? Two oppositional forces. No, it's not. See, there you go. There's the conflict right there. No, it's not. Here's a debate tip for you. You ever debate somebody and somebody just goes, "Oh, those are talking points. Like those are Russian talking points, or those are Republican talking points." Well, here's Rojan's debate tip number 455. When somebody tells you, responds to you, okay, you say something like, "I think the government is overstepping its bounds in the name of keeping us safe," and somebody goes, "Those are Russian talking points." I mean, that's all they say. Then you go, "I think you should feign ignorance." See, the trap there is to go, "No, it's not, blah, 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 blah." And then you go into, you're basically in a new argument about whether or not you're using parroting propaganda, right? Which is an excellent propagandist's tool. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to really deflect from the first conversation we were having about federal government overstepping its bounds, let's distract everybody by basically accusing the other person of being a useful idiot, right? Having been manipulated, just parroting somebody else's words, right? So that's a great tactic if you want to distract. But to get back on track, here's what you do. You say, "Oh, talking point? What's that?" Like, just feign ignorance. Just pretend like you don't know what a talking point is. Ask them what a talking point is, because their response will be, "Well, there's just a set of things you say that are put out there by the opposition to make sure that you don't really talk about things that are important or to obscure the real issues." And then your response would be like, "Oh, like you're doing?" And there you go. Because now they have to defend what they're saying, because essentially they are using a talking point to accuse you of using a talking point. And now we're in this. So if you want to have this talking point debate, let's have it. Let's get it there. So that's my little debate tip for you. I don't know how helpful that is. Maybe if you're all isolating yourselves, you might end up having some heated discussions. Here's the thing: conflict. The reason I put it in such a bland, generic way is because a lot of people are conflict averse. Like, conflict itself is a bad thing. And I don't know. I'm not sure that that's, there are no absolutes, right? There's no absolutes, including this one, right? That's what I learned from college. That's essentially the only thing I learned from college, is that there are no absolutes, including this one, and thanks for your money. And that's basically. But anyways, there are no absolutes, right? Conflict can be good, can be bad. It's neither here nor there. It is. Of course, it's bad to suffer. Of course, it's bad to be part of the collateral damage of any kind of conflict. Okay, but conflict in and of itself, is it necessary? Is it what drives life per se? Remember, in the Matrix, when Neo was inside of it, the architect or whoever the fuck was telling him that the first Matrix, or maybe this is no, it's fucking when Agent Smith is interrogating Morpheus. He tells him that the first Matrix was in paradise, and then everybody just died. Yeah, it's just everybody was soft. Everybody was dying, so they had to create conflict. They had to create suffering in order for people to struggle and get stronger. And that's just something about us. It's just something about the nature of evolution. Probably because we come from an evolutionary past where nature was harsh and we needed to come up with all kinds of survival mechanisms and strategies and adaptations to move forward. And those that didn't died, and those that did got to fuck. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I feel like that's sort of a very Asian, Eastern way of looking at at it, right? Okay. So, anyways, I think just part of the thing that I think is funny is that, like, we are in a crisis. We're in this crisis, we're in a health crisis. We're in an economic crisis. We're in a financial crisis. All right. We're in a trifecta. We're in a fucking disaster Voltron trifecta of crises, and here we are. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, what's going on in the country? They just agreed on a $2 trillion stimulus package, okay? $2 trillion on top of the 1.5 they gave Wall Street. They didn't even argue about that one. Anyways, fucking argued over a whole week. How much? First they were like $1,000 a month. What should we give the people? 1,000? No, we should give them 2. Should we give them more? 10. Some people are like, give them 10. All right. So it came to 12. I guess all this back and forth. Apparently, the Democrats wanted to make sure that there are these things here and protecting these people and these businesses and these here and these things and these things. And meanwhile, motherfuckers can't make rent, right? So let's just give it up for the federal government, the conflict they've been having, and the result of that conflict. I guess if you're in Wall Street or a business or whatever, you're being bailed out. That's pretty sweet in some ways, but for the average Joe, and if you pay taxes, if you didn't pay taxes last year, you're fucked too. But for the average Joe who paid taxes last year, $1,200, buddy. That's coming your way. What the fuck? 2 trillion. 12. I'm trying to even like the math on that is like if there's 300 million and there's no way everybody's getting that, but let's just make it a round easy number. 300 mil. 1,000 each. You got 300 mil. What's that? 3 bill? 3 billion. 2 trillion? 3 billion. I mean that. I don't even want to do the, what is that, 6%? I mean, come on. All right. They don't, look, guys, I'm starting to think that maybe they don't care about us. I don't know. Sneaking suspicion. You think that's, you think that's possible? You think that's possible that nobody, the federal government doesn't care about us? That Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump and Chuck Schumer and all these motherfuckers, Mitch McConnell, whoever the fuck, that they don't give a fuck about you and me, the average person? I don't even think I'm the average person. I'm, I would be the first they'd probably string up in a tree for being a freak. So I don't know if I'd call myself the average person. I'm just saying, for the average motherfucking check person out there, wait, that's me. Well, anyways, the average person out there living check to check, how is this going to help? How's this going to help? I don't know. It's just putting a Band-Aid on a fucking chopped off arm. Right? It's like if your arm got chopped off and they're like, here, let me apply this. Let me apply this little band. Oh, it's not sticking because it's so wet. But I did the best I could do. Anyways, I feel like the government. Thanks, government. Meanwhile, the media, right? The media in half the country. I don't know how much it's helping to be so antagonistic toward Trump. I mean, I get it. He did, but look. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm not saying he did right. I'm not saying he didn't. But honestly, he can't win. He can't do anything right. He's to the point where, honestly, if you wanted to get him to do what you want, why don't you give him praise? Why don't you treat him like a dog? Like a dog. Dogs don't want to be told they're bad all the time. Dogs don't want to be hit and told they're bad. You know what happens to that dog? That dog turns. Now the dog won't even care. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing to him. Where he doesn't give a fuck if you like him or not. That's where you're pushing him. Is that what we need right now in the middle of a pandemic? That's your priority? Because listen, look, whatever, for as little or as much as he did, one of the things he did early on was impose a travel ban from China. What he should have done was impose a total ban, but instead he let Americans in, which probably started the spread of the virus. But one of the things that probably stopped the spread of the virus was stopping other people from China coming to the country. That was at the end of January. He was, of course, called a racist. He was called a Chinaphobe or whatever they call it. He was called anti-Chinese. He was called racist. He was called, how dare you do that? Because nobody took it seriously. In December, when China was locking down Wuhan, the Economist, a lot of Western news outlets were like, China is surely overstepping its authoritarian bounds by doing, very critical of China's actions. When Trump did this shit early, everybody was back. Look, can you imagine if Trump did a full lockdown? Because right now people are saying Trump didn't do enough. He didn't do it enough, right? Imagine if that motherfucker instituted a full fucking lockdown, okay? Like LA is experiencing, New York, on the entire country. He just came out and was like, I am locking down the country. Are you kidding me? Everybody would call him a Nazi. Like, they would definitely call him Hitler. They would be like, this is it. That's the beginning of the end. He's gotta fucking kill all the non-whites. Now he's locking down the country. He's gotta kill all the... You know what I'm saying? If he did draconian measures up front, people would be like, this is what we've been talking about this whole time. He's gonna kill us all. Right? So he did it. So instead it's, he didn't do enough. He's got blood on his hands. He didn't do anything. He's not doing it. Right? Meanwhile, the media is not helping. Media is not helping to kind of explain to the people that, hey, listen, the way the power structure and the organizational sort of hierarchy operates here is that, the feds have funding, resources. The feds, can relax a lot of things, open the fucking pipes. States need to take that money and then manage it, allocate it, say what needs what and whatever. And guess what? The local motherfuckers, the mayor, the sheriffs, the people at the local level, they're supposed to execute. They take the funds, use the funds, execute, make sure the public, they're the ones face to face with the people. They're the ones doing that. So it's patently absurd to say that Trump, what the fuck is he supposed to do? Calm down and make sure, like one of those Italian mayors, and just start yelling at people for not like himself? What's he fucking? He does the fucking national government, for God's sakes. They got 7 wars going on. Like the shit they do is so out of touch with what we need or what we're involved with or anything, or and the way this shit affects us is through larger mechanisms like the economy, like the supply chain, like the fact that we don't fucking make any of our shit here anymore because we opted for cheap labor, right? Cutting costs, cheap labor. That's what's kicking our asses right now, not necessarily the feds themselves. So if anything, you gotta look towards your local shit to make sure that they're doing the shit right. It doesn't matter how well the federal government does. If the local fucking government bungles the whole thing, it doesn't matter. Now you just fucking lost a bunch of money. You know what I mean? So anyways, hold them accountable. Media, if only there was some institution that was there to help inform the public and do that for us. If only there was some, I don't know, field of occupation where people speak truth to power by questioning what the official word is and double checking it facts and other sources, and then not even that, just undermining the elite structures that we have, undermining them to find the truths that are being obscured from the public. If only there was somebody like that, but I don't know. Maybe one day there will be, right? Look, I have a conflict. My conflict, look, there's this whole conflict. Everything's set up as a conflict, right? Media versus Trump. Half the country hates Trump. Literally, the only thing Trump could do right for half the country right now is to walk onto Fifth Avenue and shoot himself in the face. That's like the only way. And even then, people would be like, oh, way to quit on us, Donald. It would be like, Orange Man quits in the middle of a crash. Like, he could, no matter what, even if he did that, people would criticize him, right? Oh, he could have used a hollow point bullet so that so that his head turned more into mush, because instead the bullet passed through and almost hit a bystander. He doesn't care about the people. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking retarded red-blue tribalism that the media, honestly, is whipping up. Look at him, man, with the whole fucking Asian racism thing. It's Asian racism thing. It ties back to the original thing when they attacked him for banning people from China. They were like, oh, you racist. So now when he says Chinese virus, they're like, oh, you racist. Meanwhile, we have a whole crisis in the supply chain. All of it, we gotta do something about our supply. Regardless of whatever military posturing there is, we gotta change shit up because, look, we're fucked. Our hospitals are fucked right now. The next month is gonna be gnarly as fuck just because they don't have enough gear. Okay? I mean, there's space limitations, but gear, because all the gear comes from China. Gotta do something about that. Now, I'm not saying listen, let's just take away. I mean, if I was a country that wanted to say maybe, I don't know, knock the U.S. down a peg, and the U.S. was dumb enough to get into bed with me because I offered them really cheap labor, and now all of a sudden I got them by the balls. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but I'm just saying, it's not like fucking. It's not a fucking. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to. Well, actually, it might take a rocket scientist to figure some of this out because they have nukes. We got nukes, but I'm just saying. You can just see how, like, logically, hey, cui bono, right? Who benefits? Okay, so there's that. Dude, there's a fucking story in the New York Times, okay, about how the government is thinking about drafting women, right? And the fucking image that they use is an Asian American woman, Asian American woman soldier, right? Isn't that interesting? Interesting optics for the idea of increasing your draft rate by almost 100%. It's very interesting, right? Very interesting. You say we had to go to war with somebody who had a giant population like China. Interesting. Very interesting. Interesting to use an Asian female to make sure that, oh, this isn't a race thing, And it's the New York Times, right? The New York Times, same New York Times is running stories about how Trump's racism is driving all those Asian attack. Same time, they're soft pedaling a war, right? Using Asian iconography, and you might be going, oh, this is all, come on, that's coincidence, you're reading too much into it. Yeah, all right. Yeah, you don't think You don't think that any of this has any consideration? You don't think that the state has any say in some of the look as oppositional as oppositional the New York Times is to Donald Trump. They are the biggest cheerleaders of war. Okay, if Trump declares a big war on someone, say it's China even, just watch. Okay, everybody will be on board. The entire news media will be on board. The entire news media was on board for WMDs, and the whole thing was bullshit. And after it came out that it was bullshit, they didn't even say anything. They didn't even say sorry. They didn't even go like, "Our bad." They didn't even say it. Okay. Holy shit! I'm 20 minutes in. And I'm not even getting to what I wanted to talk about. Well, guys, am I gonna wrap it up here? No, that doesn't make any sense. Listen. So, New York Times, they cheerlead for war. Okay. There's an article in the Times, basically cheerleading for war, soft pedal war for China. Possibility. I'm not saying it's definite. I'm just saying it's a possibility. There's 2 points I think that Trump would like to shift, pivot. Remember Obama pivoted to Asia? That's part of the military. You know, like Trump and the military are kind of tight. You know what I mean? He's actually a little not as crazy as Pompeo. Pompeo and the military are at odds because Pompeo just wants to nuke everybody. He wants to go to war now with Iran, right? Look, we're fucking sanctioning Iran still. We're sanctioning them. That means we got them. That means we cut off their supplies, their medicine. Now, during the time of Corona, we're doing that. So they're getting fucked even more. As fucked as we are for having our supply chain bottlenecked by China, they're fucked by having their supply chain bottlenecked by us. Okay, we're doing that, but as a punitive measure. See, China's not doing it punitively. A big part of it is just simple fucking production and economics. You know, it's fucking all the factories are over there. We did that. Okay. Meanwhile, with Iran, we are putting the squeeze on them on purpose, right? Not only that, Venezuela as well, North Korea. Okay, there's probably a few more countries, but those are the 3 I know of that we're putting the squeeze on. We got sanctions on them, and there's a fucking pandemic going on, and I guess that's fine. I guess people are just we're gonna be okay with that. See, people here are okay. We're yelling about racism. Oh, stop saying those mean words. Stop saying those mean words. Meanwhile, we're at 7 hot wars. We have air power. We're exercising air power in 7 countries. Do I need to list them again for you motherfuckers? All right, no, I'm sorry. We're at war in 7 countries, okay? We are squeezing. We're basically, it's another form of warfare, okay? Just because we're not outright going in and shooting them doesn't mean it's any better because we're starving them, okay? They're dying from starvation, from sickness. In fact, I feel like people would rather die standing with a gun in their hands than fucking wasting away from hunger or watching their children die of sickness and fucking famine. You know what I'm saying? Like, most people would rather fight and die than just sit there and waste away, you know, and die slowly. You know what I'm saying? In some ways, I would think that, in some ways, I feel like, you know, it's worse in that way. You know, there as much as you can say, hey, at least we're not fucking gunning them down and shooting them with missiles. Okay, yeah. So instead, we're starving them to death and making them watch their kids die from sickness. That's cool. That's even better. Whatever. So we're doing that. So I'm sticking with the theme of conflict. Still here. Conflict. Here we are, right? Conflict. Country to country, government to government, within the government, party to party, media versus president, half the country versus the other half of the country, incredibly polarized time. What the fuck, right? It's time for unity, right? All these countries are showing us how to do it, and we're fucking up. It's really actually ironic, like Japan, Germany, like they're doing great. You know, they're testing, they're trying to stay on top of this. That it's very interesting that the countries we beat in World War II are now beating us at fighting COVID-19, right? That's just fucking. You're welcome, right? I think we got to show the world how we do this pandemic American style. All right, American style. All right, maybe I'll just. Okay, I'm gonna end it here. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna continue this next time. Friday, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna continue the theme of conflict. So first, I'm kind of doing a macro. So this was the macro part, right? Kind of talking about like what's going on in this country. There's a lot of polarities. The polarity between people have been ramped up. It's being cranked up. The media, you can see them ratcheting it up. Look at this story. There's this fucking story about. All right, this is the last thing. Okay, so first point I wanted to make is that I'm doing this is going to be a two-part thing about the conflict, about conflict in general that's going on right now. It's very fascinating to me in a time of crisis when we need to unite. The media, the politicians, just fucking people on the ground, they're ratcheting up this conflict that's been going on. Probably because of the election. Honestly, a lot of it is probably opportunism and electioneering, right? I mean, if this wasn't an election year, if this was Trump's 8th year in office, it'd probably be, probably be different. Probably be different, or if it was like year 6 or something, it'd probably be different. But this is an election year. Motherfuckers are thinking about the election and putting that in front of, I guess, the welfare of humanity. People, money over everything, including the bodies of your loved ones. And that's how we do it. Moloch needs to be fed. Moloch needs blood. You think you can just stop because you fucking care about grandma and grandpa? Fuck them. They got the wealth. Fucking count their wealth. Count their net worth. How much are they worth? Yeah. You busy during this quarantine time? You busy quarantined? Maybe look into how much that land that Nana has is worth. How much is that? Maybe hey, maybe I go visit you, huh, Grandma? I'll come visit you. You sick fuckers. All right. It's bringing out the sickness in all of us. This country. I mean, this country, in essence, is a sociopathic country. It's built on the bones of genocide and slavery. War. I mean, come on. Right? We all know this. We have slave labor now in prisons. We don't even care. We don't care. Don't care. Nobody has health care. Ha! What do we care? Instead of health care, they should call it health. Who gives a fuck? All right. So this was the first part in the conflict series. Second part, I'm going to talk about the Red Queen hypothesis. I'm going to putting this out in the ether so I commit myself to doing this. And I can fucking move on to something else, but okay, I'm gonna take it from the micro to the macro next time. Okay, so I think this is very fascinating. The tribalism that's coming out, the back and forth, the people that in the fear. I think in a time of fear, we unify, but we could unify as one inside of the nation. I mean, trying to do it globally, but I'm not sure it's that. Try to do it. And we got this disease. That's part of what globalism got us. So, now we got the national thing. Okay, we need unity within the nation. But we got an election coming on. Unfortunately, I have this fucking two-party system. So there you got your Coke and Pepsi going on. So Coke and Pepsi are duking it out while Grandpa and Grandma are going to die. All right, so here we are. Conflict galore. Next episode, I'm going to talk about how the conflict is how I believe this macro conflict is actually a manifestation of a microbe, a microbial conflict. From the macro to the micro. You know what I'm saying? Red Queen hypothesis. That's next week. All right. So anyways, before I wrap up, just want to talk about this. Okay. Prime example of what's going on with the media and whatnot. I mean, the whole Asian thing, that was a big example for me. I looked through, I did okay, there was one Asian person who was sprayed with Febreze, which, okay, it's cruel, it's bad, it's mean, but it's kind of funny. I mean, it's kind of funny, and no one was really hurt. Feelings were hurt. Again, we're at war in 7 countries, we're squeezing the shit out of 3 countries, but anyways, this poor Asian, I think it was a lady in New York, got Febrezed. Okay, there was somebody who was bad hit. London, there was a dude who was hit, and in New York, a guy who was hit. I think it might have been a stabbing, but that was unclear if it was racial. It could have been another beef. Every Asian who gets hit isn't just because of coronavirus racism. You know what I'm saying? Like, so 2 people. Okay, you haven't died. No one's died. Okay, do I sound like Trump being like, it's just the flu? I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying. Okay. Meanwhile, these same people who are no, Asians, we have to protect the Asians, including Trump, who came out and was like, we must protect our Asian America. Yeah, including all of them. Right? They're all doing this on phones made by slave labor in China and dug up by kids in the Congo, the coltan, and all that. Okay, so come on. All right, let's keep our priorities straight here. So there's a news story. Trump, I don't know why he's freeballing right now. He shouldn't be improving. This is not the time to improv, but he is. Okay? Because he's not a doctor. He doesn't know. But he's like, the chloroquine. He started talking about chloroquine. He's like, it's the best. It's amazing. Chloroquine. And the doctor's like, it's not proven. I mean, people are using it, but it's not. Chloroquine. Okay. So put it out there. Chloroquine's the best. Some fucking dumbass saw that chloroquine was inside a aquarium cleaner and decided to drink it. Wasn't even sick. I don't know if he was sick. I don't know. Just some fucking. Okay. Scared dummy. I mean, was not smart. Whether or not the man was fundamentally intelligent is up for grabs, right? Because it's something called the fundamental attribution error, where when somebody does something, you attribute that to their character. Here's an example. If you are walking down the street and you trip and fall, okay, somebody outside, somebody in a restaurant that looks out the window, sees you fall, they'll be like, look at that guy, he's fucking clumsy, right? Because you just fell. Clumsy. So he's assigning that attribute to your character, your fundamental character, that you're always clumsy no matter what. But for you, the person who tripped, you'd be a fucking gymnast, you know what I'm saying? But you just tripped in that instant. It was just that moment right there, you tripped. It happens to everybody, right? It doesn't mean anything about your character. It's situational, right? So that's the thing that happens. So we confuse the fundamental with the situational, or we attribute. It's the same thing of like, when fucking I do something great, it's because of me. When I do something wrong, it's your fault, right? That's just it's the same thing. Socialize the gain, privatize the loss, all of that, or privatize the gain, socialize the loss. You know what I'm saying? It's human nature. All right. So you got a guy drinking chloroquine because he's scared out of his wits. Maybe he's coughing. Maybe he's got it. Maybe and he dies because it's poisonous. And you shouldn't really be drinking poison. Now the media says, man poisons himself because Trump told him that chloroquine was a cure. Of course, people run with the story and go, look at what Trump's doing. Trump literally murdered this man. Trump poured chloroquine down this poor man's throat. Trump, blah, blah. Meanwhile, if this man was an avid Trump supporter or a racist, what if he was an avid racist and he died? People would be dancing on his body. Ha 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 ha, fuck you, die, Trumper, die. But whatever, okay? But in this instance, his death is useful to politicize for this retarded argument that Trump is directly responsible for this man's death because he said that chloroquine was the best, or was the possible. I mean, he could have literally looked in the camera and been like, drink chloroquine now. Drink chloroquine. It's the best. I mean, he could have done that and people would have drank it, and I still am not on board with the idea that it's his fault. People have to have. Do we not have agency? Do people not have responsibility? Do people not? You just like no matter what people say. That means I mean, for instance, when the news was pushing WMDs, right? They're saying should just all go with that, right? Shouldn't just all that's fine. We're brainwashed. We're all just going there, and that's why that happened, right? That's why that happened, and the news has no responsibility there. Totally absolved of any responsibility. Meanwhile, how about this? What if that guy was whipped into a frenzy because the media was not only politicizing this crisis, not only whipping everybody into a frenzy and being afraid all the time because, fear sells, they didn't offer any nuanced or extensive sort of scientific or any kind of sort of counterpoint to what the state is offering. Listen, like it or not, Trump is the head of state, so what he's saying is basically what the state is saying. Through his Trumpian way, he's saying what the state is saying. So it's the news' job not to just be like, he's bad and mean, and look how people are dying because of what he's saying. instead of doing that, they could just be like, here's what our reporters have found about the truth. Here's what our science experts, here's what our people say. Here's what our people say about what the government is saying. Here's what our people are saying what the local government is saying. Here's what we are saying investigating the origins of this disease, the nature of the disease itself, possible cures that other countries are using, including chloroquine, which is being used all around the world to combat not only malaria, but some people are trying it for fucking coronavirus. So it is, including New York right now. Okay? They don't report on that. They don't say, hey, this is actually a viable thing. They just go, Trump bad! Chloroquine, not even, he's a poison! He made him drink the poison! It's fucking, frankly, unhinged. Okay? People, you look on Facebook, they're fucking unhinged. No different than the motherfucking Fox people were back in the Obama days going, Obama! Now it's no different. It's the other side now. Trump! I mean, it's frankly quite cartoonish. Anyways, thank you, government, for your $1,200, making sure that I could barely make rent. Actually, I can't make rent. Thank you. Actually, thank you for arguing, being paid on my dime for the tax dollars I put in. Thank you for taking those tax dollars, paying yourselves to argue for giving me $1,200 back. Thank you for that, okay? Thank you for the months of impeachment that you spent our money on instead of investigating this pandemic and preparing the population for it at all. November, December, this is all prime impeachment time. They could have been fucking looking into this. Congress members, during this time, insider traded, made a killing off of it, did nothing to ensure that the virus wouldn't make a killing off of us. Okay? So that's where we are. So I don't buy the okey doke of the media, okay? Because they've literally failed it, just as our leaders have failed us. The media has failed us. Everybody has failed us. Okay? Everybody's failed us except us. We got each other, guys. We got each other. And that's the only thing we can count on at this point, that we got each other. Crowdsourcing, mob rule, eating the rich. That's all we've got left. No, I'm just kidding. I have a mace. I bought a steel mace, guys. I'm just exercising with it, but it might come in handy. Bludgeoning weapon. I need a projectile weapon, though. I'm thinking about a slingshot. Or, I'm getting $1,200, could get that bow, just can't practice with it. So, think about getting a slingshot. Closing all the gun stores. I don't know. I don't know if the thing's gonna get, if it's gonna, all I know is if we had some kind of national unity, I would have a little more confidence that things would be alright, we're gonna pull through. But instead, these fucking morons running things are fucking infighting, and the fucking morons running the institution that's supposed to inform us are whipping us up into more fighting instead of informing us. Great. Fuck. I wanted to cut this short. Instead, I ended up going just as long as I didn't want to go. But, you know what? These are crazy times. It'll cost me 10 more bucks to fucking get, but it's fine. Don't even worry about it. I'm not even asking for donations. I'm not asking for shit except for your time, your eyeballs, a follow, a like. Go find me on the Spotify. I'm on Stitcher. I'm on Google. I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm fucking everywhere. I'm on rojankim.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Find me. Find me, motherfuckers. Follow me. Thank you so much for your time. I'll be back on Friday. Try to wrap this up. We're going to go deep down into the microbial world. Microbial. Let me say that right. Microbial world. Just like inner space. I'm going to shrink you down, you Bill Paxtons. Shrink you down into a spaceship and inject you into my penis. I don't know why I said that. I'm sorry. Anyways, thanks for listening.